And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 5, episode 14. We're 14 shows in and there hasn't been a single real game yet. So we're flying on the QCast. Really excited to do the annual Illinois Wesleyan men's basketball season preview episode. Uh, Ron Rose this morning, and I'll tell you why I'm transitioning this way. This morning I had a QCast with Scott Trost, and it's his 19th year at Lewis. So this must be your 19th year at Illinois Wesleyan. Do I have the math correct?
It's hard to believe. And that's a hard act to follow. It was a hard act to follow in his footsteps here as the head coach at Wesleyan, and certainly the QCast. You know what I love? You've knocked off the rust. I mean, like you're mid-season form right now, Q. Having. I mean,
Oh
you've
yeah,
been cooking.
I have been cooking. We had Russell White recently, so he's excited to come to the Sikma. Yeah, Coach Trost was this morning. That was a lot of fun. But this is always one of the great ones of the year because this one's mostly about your players. I like to keep this season preview about the players. We're going to go one by one because people want to know about this group you've assembled, and we're going to spend most of the time. But I do want to start a little bit. I've seen you play 2 games already, which is very rare for us doing the QCast that I've seen us play. I've flown to 2 games already. High level takeaways. Let's start with the Blue Demons, DePaul. What were your takeaways from that exhibition game you played against DePaul?
Well, first, I love your commitment. I love you. You're into it right off the bat, and
Absolutely.
and we've got a group that's committed. And the first thing is to have 2 exhibitions against Big East opponents is really a unique opportunity. And then when you also consider DePaul's playing at Wintrust Arena, one of the most modern places you're going to play,
Really cool
and
place.
then you go over to Butler, one of the most historic.
Yeah.
What a cool experience for our players. In terms of basketball, you're playing high major elite athleticism and size.
Yeah.
And we are uniquely gifted physically, I think, this year. And so what I really love is this. Our guys played incredibly hard, competed, I felt like, for 40 minutes in both
They
contests,
did.
uh, were really coachable and tried to do what we've been practicing. Obviously, we haven't been at it nearly as long as the schools we just competed against,
Right.
but for us to be able to be game ready was incredible, and to be able to play a game that was that fast paced. I
Right.
thought we competed well. When you look at DePaul, in both games, we finished a few plays. Both outcomes are closer than what the final score showed.
Right. Yeah. I thought DePaul being down 10 at halftime, and it felt like had a few things happened differently. Could have been 4 or 6 and competed in the second half. Butler, you just had that avalanche of a run. And I'm curious, when your guys walked into Hinkle Fieldhouse, I had to picture the movie Hoosiers, the scene where they're walking in, just looking around. Like, was that pretty cool for them? I know these guys are all young, Coach Rose, but they got to know the history of Hinkle Fieldhouse, right?
A couple things we did is a couple weeks ago we got together as a group and watched Hoosiers.
That's cool.
So we got together, so we kind of had a little bit of an understanding. Then there's a whole historical document about Hinkle Fieldhouse, and it's basketball, but it's
Cool.
also presidential elections, presidential people that have spoken in Hinkle. There's a really an interesting Jesse Owens ran the 60
Wow.
in Hinkle Fieldhouse. So our guys had a good historical reference. And you're right, we walked in and we did a shoot around that day. And just to be in there was really a unique experience. I don't think any of us will forget having that opportunity.
Yeah, that was cool. I was glad that I made it up there. I walked in the building. I just looked around. I said, "This is cool." Like that, it felt like basketball,
There
and
was energy, wasn't there?
it was
Exhibition game, there was
they
energy.
had a great crowd. They had their band. They had the cheerleaders. They had the dance team. It was a great environment, and 10-10 at the 14-minute mark, and then that crazy, like, I don't know, 30-4 run. After that avalanche, thought you went back to competing pretty well, and it seemed like during the avalanche, missed a lot of pretty good looks. It
A lot
was
of good looks.
yeah, a lot of good missed. It didn't have to be 30-4. It could have been a little more competitive there, but they were big, weren't they? I thought compared to
Well,
DePaul, Butler was enormous. I thought.
well, they have a 7-1 fifth-year five-man that started, a sixth-year 6'9" four-man who's already scored 1,000 points in the Big Ten.
Right.
Their three-man 6'7" fifth-year senior that's all preseason All Big East, and a 6'5", 225 two-man that's a preseason All Big East. I mean that they're legit. Butler's going to have a really good year, and both Chris Holtman and Thad Matta were very uh, complimentary of how hard our guys played and how
For
physical our
sure.
guys were. And so I think it bodes really well. I like that our guys continued to compete, and we had some opportunities. Now obviously their size,
Yeah,
length, physicality affect your shooting percentage. So they had a lot to do with that. But I thought we executed our offense pretty well and
I
got
agree.
looks that we wanted. Especially early in the season.
Did our guys know that Caitlin Clark was watching them play? I was wondering that. Did they have any idea she was in the stands?
I don't think anybody had, there were rumors before the game, but I don't think any of us knew she was there. She had to, being the elite shooter she is, she was probably very offended with our shooting percentage.
I found that very cool as someone pointed her out. I was like, that's about the most famous basketball player in the world right there. Like
Yeah.
she's sitting there watching the game. And so great experiences in those two exhibitions. Before we talk about this year's team, and we'll go through each player, you did lose some important guys from last year's
Yeah.
team. Two starters, two reserves. I believe it was four, right? You had four guys from last year. You
Yep.
had Luke Yoder, Ryan Soroka, Grant Hardy, and Evan Schneider. So this isn't like one of those seasons where you literally return everyone. You lost four guys. Talk a little bit just about those guys that left the program.
Well, four important guys from a production standpoint, but also a culture standpoint. They're four outstanding young men that are hard workers, are titans, program guys, and the guys that had logged a lot of minutes over their 4 years. Grant Hardy obviously didn't play as much, having injury plagued season, but he had a great senior year. One of the real highlights, in my opinion, of last year. But Luke Yoder, 5 years, understood what we wanted done from the point guard spot. And then Ryan Soroka, again, a 4 year player. Evan
Right.
Schneider, important key guy. So those guys, hard workers, understood the program, great culture guys. So they're big losses, really big losses. And what I do like in with our program is that we had guys that were their understudies,
Right.
guys that played behind them, backed them up. And that's the other thing. I think those four guys were really good mentors. So they were not afraid to put their arm around guys and teach guys. And so I think the guys that are stepping into those minutes and roles are well prepared, largely because of the mentorship of those four guys.
And when you talk about mentorship, I tweeted a photo this morning that I just thought was a cool pic. It's a pic from the end of the Yeshiva game, maybe a minute left, and our bench is Nick Roper, Hakim Williams, Harrison Wilmsen, Shane Miller. Those guys, some of them played a little varsity as a freshman. Some of them played all junior varsity. I think Marko was a JV guy exclusively. All six of those seniors, we'll get to them in a second. All six of those seniors have a chance to help out this year on the varsity. And they didn't all start as like starters and the guy. These guys have had to earn their way in and develop. It feels to me like that's a sign of a really good program when that's the kind of
Yeah,
situation you have.
that's our goal is, and all those guys were really good players. They were freshmen on a really good team that
Right.
went to the Elite Eight, and again they got to experience a conference championship, playing in the NCAA tournament, so they understand what that level of play looks like. And they're all talented guys. That what I love is we have a homegrown team. Everybody on our
Yeah.
roster came in as freshmen, lived in Munsell Hall,
Right.
developed those relationships, have worked hard for however many years they've been here. And so I've always said this, that is it a disadvantage with the fifth year guys and all the transfers. Yes. However, there's an advantage to us in the old school approach that these guys really like each other. They're
Right.
connected and they're really motivated to have a great season. So those guys, the six seniors, are a terrific group. It's a unique group because they each have their individual talents on the court and their unique personalities off of it. And even though they're uniquely individual, they fit together
Absolutely.
amazingly well. So it's a fun group to coach, and they're ready for a big senior year.
We'll talk about the Sikma tournament as we close out this thing, because that's going to be what a weekend. I'm excited to head up. Just one more comment on what you said about not only homegrown, but been a lot of programs that have been able to keep their own guys. And I think I counted Ryan Soroka as the fifth graduate of your program to start at the Division II level. Now, Cody was
Yeah.
an NAI team transitioning to D2, so just roll with me on that. But five guys that have graduated, no graduate programs at Illinois Wesleyan, and gone on to start ball games at the D2 level. It's been an interesting 4 years, but you got to be excited for those guys to get that next chance to get a degree, and some of them scholarship help to do it, and to play basketball one more year.
Well, as you know, we've got good players here. Coach Bridges walk off the bus with the best players. We've got really talented guys here that no doubt can play at higher levels, whether it's Division I or Division II. And they have decided to come to out of high school as well, but they come to Illinois Wesleyan because of the great education, the
Right.
experience, the camaraderie, being a part of a program that has had a tradition of a lot of good players. So I'm we didn't shy away. Those guys that have moved on after graduating and graduating with honors. I mean, all five are outstanding students
Yeah.
and found opportunities because of the COVID year. So we're happy for those guys. We're rooting like crazy for Ryan Soroka this year and hope he has a great season. It's been fun for me because those guys have all come back and I've had an opportunity to have conversations about what they experienced there versus here and how can
Right.
we make our program better. So we've picked their brains and hopefully a better program because of their experiences.
Yep. It's been an interesting last 4 years for sure. And it's been good to see those guys get a chance to play that fifth year. So let's talk about your players. I'm just going to go through in order. I'll go through seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen. I'll bring up a guy's name, maybe just the usual sound bite, something that you'd like the fans to know about that player. And I'll start with your senior class, Marko Anderson, who is a 6'6" forward.
Yeah, I've said it before. Marco's a rebounding savant, and Marko is it's really been rewarding to watch him improve every single year. And we knew when he was in high school that he was really a high IQ guy. And I felt like every year he's going to get better as he's a program guy. He understands now exactly, he's so smart on the floor and understands what he needs to do and what we need to do to be successful. He also understands what he's really good at and does it at a high level. So Marco's been had a great preseason and I think is going to have a fantastic year this year.
Yeah, whether he starts or he's your sixth man, one of the two, he'll play starter minutes. I thought it was funny at the DePaul game. He ends up back to the basket versus like a 6'10" guy. And he put some crafty little Seth Hubbard move on him, like an up and under move. So Marco's got a little bit of crafty game to him as well, Coach Rose.
He's come along offensively. Like he he can step out and shoot a little bit, but down low he's just gained more and more
Yeah.
confidence in his ability to score the basketball, and he can do that. He can use his right hand, left hand, as you mentioned, great pivot moves in the
Yeah.
paint.
Harrison Wilmsen, who's a 6'10" forward.
Yeah, I mean, how many guys have you seen in your time that look like Harrison Wilmson at
Zero.
our level? I mean, he's really unique and he's big, he's strong, and he's mobile. For a long time, I kept telling Harry, you're an athlete. He's a quarterback in high
Yeah.
school, played lacrosse. He can move, and His sophomore year, he played with a stress fracture in his foot all year. And to be honest, that affected him last year because he had no off season. He was non-weight bearing 2 summers ago.
Right.
He's had a great off season. He's in really good shape. And he's gonna be a dominant force for us in the middle. He has the ability to step out, as well as just a horse in the middle on the. And one thing that I've noticed this early going is he's getting to the boards a lot more. Like he's doing the where he's going for the ball and guys are bouncing off of him. And he's 6'10", 240. He can set a screen, you'll feel it.
Right.
But now guys are feeling it when he's pursuing the basketball, guys are feeling it also.
Yeah, he's the biggest player that I've seen. I didn't see your teammate Bill Braxick, and I certainly wasn't here for Jack Sikma, but physically Harrison Wilmsen is by far the biggest dude that I've seen us trot out, and I've seen us trot out some big dudes. So he's pretty impressive. How about Nick Roper, who was named a preseason All-American by D3Hoops.com? Nick is a 6'8" guard.
Yeah, he's Harrison's an albatross at our level. You're not going to face many guys like him, but so's Rope. You're not going to say. I said when we recruited him, physically he's the closest thing to Brian Crabtree that we've had in our program. A 6'8", athletic, long, runs like a gazelle.
Yep.
And I thought at the end of last year, I thought he was the best player in our conference. He really. He also, thinking of his development as a junior, but he had that pretty significant injury his sophomore year that knocked him out the rest of the year, high ankle sprain.
Yep.
He didn't have an off season either. And so he's had, I thought as the year went on, as he gained more confidence in his ankle and as he got healthier and healthier, the light bulb really turned on that he figured out how to get to his spots that were going to be very difficult for anybody at our level to guard. And he's just gotten better at that. He's really developed a nice outside shot, more confidence. And he's poised, as all these guys are, to have a really, really great year.
In those exhibition games, I would say that Nick was a guy that did not look out of place whatsoever on the floor with the D1 guys. Like they had to work hard to guard Nick and contain him, and he looked pretty comfortable out there. So yeah, excited to see Nick play. How about Shane Miller, who's a 6'1" guard?
Yeah, and I'll say this, like if you just were in the stands watching DePaul and Illinois Wesleyan, you wouldn't say Big East Division III.
No.
I mean,
right.
and even Butler's big as they were, physically, it was not,
Right.
you wouldn't have known that. And that's going to be one of our strengths this year is just how big and strong we are. Shane Miller, I've been, and I'd say this with this entire senior class, and I might put Shane in there as the poster boy of this. It's been really rewarding watching this group's growth as young men, as students, as players. Each one has grown in all areas of their life, and Shane is certainly one of those guys. Shane, unfortunately, was slowed up. A week or two before the season started, suffered a knee injury, had to have surgery. And so this is his first week of full-time basketball. So he's getting a little late start in terms of getting his body ready to play, but he's really a unique player, does things nobody else on our roster can do. He's great with the basketball. I don't think anybody else can create for themselves or others like Shane, and he'll snap some passes, usually from the sideline. I've been around basketball long enough. I can kind of see openings where that ball's going. Sometimes he'll snap a pass and I'll be like, I didn't even see that one. I don't know how he got it through there. Now Shane and I have talked. He's a little bit high risk for high reward at times on both ends, but man, he can read a pass. There's nobody gets in passing lanes like Shane either. So he really provides a unique set that nobody else has on our team. So we just got to get him back healthy and in shape and ready to contribute as well.
It helped you win a few games last year too. In particular,
No doubt.
Game at North Central, he came in and provided awesome minutes and great defense and some offense. So yeah, it'd be great to get him healthy. How about Trey Bazzell, who's a 6'3" guard?
Yeah, Trey, he's another one. As you look at, he had his first 2 years really injury laden. It really kind of hampered his development his first 2 years. He's 100% healthy, moving better than ever. In high school, you'd watch him. He's up there dunking with two hands and
Yeah.
really athletic. And it's really taken him a few years here to get his body right, and his body's right now. And so he is crazy smart. I mean, he understands things and sees things. He is really the voice of reason. I depend on Trey a lot in terms of the heartbeat of the team, but really a smart player, understands who he is, really unselfish. Like he's a young man that knows when it's his time and knows when it's somebody else's time. But he's a terrific shooter, probably our best perimeter shooter on the team. But he's got more game that he probably hasn't been able to show because
Right.
of, you know, uh, terrible tendonitis in his knees, his back. But he's right now, and defensively he's gotten better. Early in his career I was worried about him. I'm not worried about him anymore. One reason, because he is so smart. He's always in the right spot, and he's a critical piece to our puzzle this year.
Shot it well at Butler too. I think he made 3 threes in that game, and it was good to see because he's going to have opportunities to shoot some threes this year with our size. And then the sixth and final senior is Hakim Williams, who's a 6'3" guard.
Yeah, Hakim's another kind of freak at our level. Is We call him a combo guard. Started at the point a lot as a sophomore and moved him off the ball last year. Is able to do both, but he can really, when he's going downhill, he's a freight train. It's a fullback coming at you, and he's a big, strong guard. I think uh, he's one of the, if not the best perimeter defenders in the country.
Oh yeah,
And when you saw him playing at DePaul and at Butler, he can keep he can play he can keep guys, elite guards, quickness at bay. And
yeah.
it's nice to have a guy that, the guys you need to guard the best player on the other team. And he embraced that last year. And I'm sure all our guys will watch this, but no secret, his first 2 years, we were begging him to compete harder and play harder, and we saw the potential in him. And I think he finally saw the light bulb turned on, and he realized how good he is as a basketball player. Got himself in great shape, and he's an amazing defender, but he's also uh, added pieces to his offensive game every year, having the ball in his hand as much as he did as a sophomore.
Yeah.
He's very comfortable with the ball in his hand. He's another guy that can create for himself or others. His shot has come a long way. And what a tough matchup from the one or the two.
Oh yeah.
I know, when I played, I wouldn't want to guard him and try to figure out how to. Can play some significant bully ball. So Hakim again is another guy that's going to have a great year for us.
Yeah, it looked all in those scrimmages, especially the DePaul one. That DePaul guard didn't want the ball in his hands when Hakim just hounded him up the floor, and the guy would get across half court, and he wanted to get rid of it. And I again, elite defender, and had some big like the game at Carthage last year. Hakim was amazing in that second half in closing that game out. So I'm a huge Hakim fan. I thought he was our MVP last year. If you made me vote both sides of the floor, I thought that he was our MVP, and I'm such a Hakim fan. Moving on to the juniors, there's 4 of them. It's a good class. I'm going to start here because this is a sad one. That Butler game, final minute, 2 minutes, 6'4" guard Nick Tingley goes down with what looked like a not good injury. And you confirmed before we started recording that Nick tore his ACL. Just terrible. But talk about Nick if you would.
Well, first, Nick is an amazing young man. He's a crazy hard worker, great teammate, and I think I don't want to. We have a collection of great teammates. That is the beautiful thing about being part of a program like Illinois Wesleyan and I get to coach amazing young men. Nick is one of those. Nick is really a talented guy. I think he was coming on too. When he came into the Butler game, got him in that first half. he gave us a spark.
He did.
He played hard. He played with confidence. And we had seen kind of that happening the last few weeks of building confidence. And he's another program guy. I mean, he's very smart on and off the court, and he was really figuring out how his skill set he could contribute to the team. So disappointed for Nick because he is such a hard worker, and but hopefully we can get that corrected and he can get himself healed up and come back next season.
Another guy in this junior class with a really unique skill set and size is Nathan Boldt, who's a 6'10" forward.
Yeah. Nate, 6'9", 6'10", runs like a deer, really skilled. I remember watching him for the first time in high school, and I was so fired up about him, about how he passed the ball. He has great court vision. Now, the flip side of that is because he's such a good passer and he's so unselfish, sometimes he didn't look to score.
Right.
And I thought last year one of the better things that we did was had Nick play on the varsity reserve team some, because I first game out, I said, Nick, you got to shoot 10 times. And that was really uncomfortable to him.
Right.
And then by the end of the year, he's scoring 20 points consistently as he learned to be more aggressive. And Nate had a great offseason. Really unfortunate. About 2 weeks ago, he got sick and dropped over 10 pounds.
Ouch.
And so that really affected him. He'd had a week of practice, his best week of practice as a Titan, gets sick. We played the exhibitions, and I'm happy to report, I thought yesterday was his best practice he's had. But he can run, he can defend, he can guard guards. He moves his feet, and then he's got all that length. And understated as his confidence comes, he can score the ball. So as he has confidence and is aggressive, we expect really good things from Nathan Boldt because of that unique athleticism and skill set.
Whatever that illness was, it honestly would be pretty good for 50 somethings like us to get that like once a year. Dropping 10 pounds is pretty hard.
I was high-fiving him. I was, and sneeze on me, Nate. Yeah,
you and I dropping 10 pounds requires serious diet and a lot of like elliptical. And so, let's just hope Nathan gained all that 10 back very quickly. Okay, we got another junior here. I like this guy, Karlo Colak. He's a 6'5" guard.
Yeah, Karlo. Karlo's a hooper. He loves to play. He loves the process. He works at it. Really athletic. I mean, 6'5", bouncy, strong, can shoot it. I mean, he's a prolific 3-point shooter. The biggest hurdle we got to get is just he gets in his own head. He'll let one mistake bother him because he is a terrific player. And I think as he has some success at the varsity level, he's going to have more and more and more. It's going to be one of those avalanche things as he realizes how good a player he is, he's going to play better and better. And because he has all the tools.
Well, there's some guys who I won't name that you've coached that made a lot of mistakes that just kept making them. So if we could set up a mentoring relationship where those guys and Karlo work together, maybe Karlo would worry less about his mistakes. That's another QCast for another time. The last junior is a really talented point guard, David Williams, 6'2" point guard.
Yeah, D-Will, as we call him. David is another incredible hard worker and has gotten better every single year. We threw him to the Wolves as a freshman and played quite a bit. He's another one that then we had him play some varsity reserve last year and just saw his game blossom. He is a really good player. He is a legitimate CCIW point guard, and he's got size. David's 6'1", 6'2", strong, plays with a high motor, isn't afraid to be physical. David has just gotten better every year, and he's he again, as a freshman, that's a lot of pressure for a point guard. Wasn't really willing to look for a shot as a freshman, he can shoot the basketball and he can score the ball. And we see that in the off season, or early in this preseason rather, of him looking for a shot more, being offensive minded. But what I like is right now we kind of have 3 point guards that are battling
Right.
it out. He's definitely one of them, and I like each one's different. And David's got a little size. I think when you saw him get in there in I mean, he's willing to be a physical guard and defend. And again, our pace picks up when David's on the floor.
I like him a lot, and I'm looking forward to this. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm looking forward to us closing out games with the 3 point guards on the floor. Taking care of the ball with David Williams and Jackson Niego and Josh Fridman out there, spread the floor a little bit, a couple bigs. So that's just an idea. It's an idea for you to think about. 2 minutes left, Titans up 7. Think about the 3 point guard lineup. You heard it here on the.
That's a really great idea. Here's the second part to that, Q. You have to tell me who you don't want on the floor. Yeah, because I want those guys on the floor too. But unless they're going to let me play 7 or 8, you're going to have a hard time telling me not to put some of these other guys on the floor.
It depends on the score and the situation. So I'm going to get back to you. I'm going to get back to you on that.
Okay.
I have to think through that.
In all honesty, that it's funny you say there's a lot of guys I want to get on the floor this year. Depth is a strength. And as you look at the rosters, you hear me say these things. I hope you hear in my voice. There's a lot of guys that are deserving that I'd like to get on the floor. That's going to be a real strength of ours.
It's a deep team, and that showed up in those exhibitions. It is a deep, deep, deep team. Okay, so those are the juniors. Moving on to the sophomores. I think that this next kid, I think he would be playing. I think he would have played in those exhibitions if not currently hurt. And that's Brady Kuehl. Brady's a 6'6" forward who looked super good to me in JV games last year on the ones I was able to see on stream. Talk about Brady Kuehl.
No doubt. And I'll say this, he had a really good freshman year in the varsity reserve games. He had made the big jump. You're always looking for those guys that after their freshman year, do they make the jump? Do they go from a really good varsity reserve player to a varsity player? And Brady did that. He got stronger, and then he also figured out who he was as a player. And as a freshman, you think a lot, and one thing I think is true about my guys I get to coach is I have conscientious guys who want to do it right, want to do what I ask. And sometimes that can kind of get in the way of just playing.
Right.
And Brady had got himself comfortable on the court. Like he had, and I don't even know how long it was, how many practices he had under his belt, 2-3 weeks. We were into it before he has the stress fracture, but was playing great. I mean, he was almost impossible to keep off the offensive glass, had found his comfort level on the offensive end. Brady Kuehl is going to be a terrific player for the Titans. And he's disappointed. I'm disappointed that this is kind of a setback, but we certainly hope he gets better because he has an immense amount of potential.
Well, you know what I think of his father, Steve, and his uncle, Jeff. I've talked about them on this podcast quite a few times. And Brady's he's got a little bit of both of their games. He's more of a 4 than his father, but he's more of a 3 than his uncle. And he is just very bouncy. And he looks like a Denny Bridges Titan out there to me. He's got a little bit of a swagger to him. So what's his ETA, Ron? Will we see Brady this year, or when does he get?
Yeah, we certainly hope so. I think we're hoping that he'll be back playing basketball before the end of the semester, whether that's live or rehabbing it. So he's healing well from what we can tell. He's actually in a boot and on a scooter right now, but there's really bright days ahead for Brady Kuehl. He's gonna have an impact in our program at some point here.
Yeah, clearly. The guy that started point guard both exhibition games is Jackson Niego, who's a 5'11" point guard from Lyons Township.
Yeah, Jackson's just really smart, really competitive. I thought he gained really valuable experience last year backing up Luke, and he does things don't faze him. Like he gets out on the floor and he competed. he picked things up really quickly. Comes from a basketball
Yes,
family,
he does.
so he's gritty. He's got savvy, um, and as a freshman point guard, part of it is he didn't want to make mistakes, so he played it smart and conservative in terms of making sure when he got on the floor, our team was better. But he's got some game to him. He's strong with the ball. Defensively, he'll stick his nose in there, and he's just tough. He's just a tough kid, and so he is made another jump, and I think he has another one in him yet. Um, and so we run, as you know, kind of a intricate offense, and so as a point guard, understanding how to get everybody where they should go takes a little bit of time, and he's smart and he's figured that out, but there's layers of the onion
Yeah.
that he's peeling back right now, but you can feel good as a Titan fan when the ball's in his hands.
I was talking to former DePaul head coach Bill Finland yesterday. We're setting up a QCast, and he mentioned Jackson, and he said you got a good one there, and he mentioned the family, right? The first brother went to Holy Cross, the second went to Indiana, and then to Hillsdale. Two of them went to DePaul, and so just picture all the games Jackson has played, getting just the daylights beat out of him by his older brothers. And like that just kind of tells us you can kind of picture the way he grew up, and he looks like it when he plays. He's a really tough kid. Huge fan of Jackson. Another guy I'm a huge fan of is this Mason Funk character. I mentioned to you a few times that his grandfather hired me at State Farm in 1993 and hired my wife Rosemary at State Farm as well. So talk about this Mason Funk kid who's a 6'5" guard.
We got to question Grandpa's judgment
Yeah, I
maybe at
know
times.
for sure.
Um, really fun for me. The first son of a player of someone I coach. So
Right.
Mason's dad, Matt, was I was a young head coach at Normal Community High School, and Matt was my first captain. So it really and so I've known Grandma and Grandpa a long time as well. Mason had, I thought, an incredible freshman year. He's really I'll give him the unique tag as well, because he's 6'5", doesn't have to bend over to tie his shoes. He's got those long arms.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times guys would go up for a shot, and we've got some shot blockers on our team, and he blocked the shot, and they had no idea how he got to him. But he's got that unique skill set also. He can step out and shoot the three. He's comfortable, and he's got really great basketball instincts. Great cutter, knows when to cut, can get to the basket, plays fearlessly. As a freshman to go in there, I mean, when he's open, he's going to shoot it, and he's just going to play. And he's gotten stronger. It's fun watching, especially freshman, sophomore year, some of these guys' shoulders, they come back,
Oh yeah.
and they were wearing mediums. Now they're wearing larges, or they're wearing larges. Now they're wearing extra large
Right.
t-shirts. So Mason's one of those guys that physically improved. And then it's also just confidence. He now, it's wonderful as a sophomore, because the first day of practice, we're running drills, and I know that drill, or I know the expectation, or I know why we're running that drill. I know how this correlates to the big picture. And Mason is wicked smart, pre-med major. And so I think he's putting all those dots together and how he fits into that.
Well, I'll give you a hot take on the QCast. Is all these guys we've already talked about, these older guys. Mason Funk is going to lead your team in scoring, Coach Rose. Now, don't sabotage me and put him on the bench 5 extra minutes because you're trying to forbid. But I'm just telling you, like I'm going to send you this clip in March. But I think Mason's going to lead you in scoring. I think he's a special player, and I love what he does on the defensive end too. This is a fun kid to watch. And
Let
then
me interject. Let me
yes,
interject.
please.
Let me interject. I think one of the things that's going to be great is we are going to be really hard to guard. We always say our offensive mission statements: we want 5 guys on the floor who can pass and catch,
Right.
score in their respective position, and then play ridiculously unselfish. And we're going to put 5 guys on the
Absolutely.
floor who can score, and you're going to be put in a pickle, and you're going to how you going to give Harrison Wilmsen extra
Right.
attention? How are you going to give Nick Roper extra? How are you going to give Mason Font? You can go down the line.
Exactly.
Hakim Williams, whoever it is, and then we bring guys off the bench who can score. So one of our real strengths is going to be how balanced we are. And on any given night, we could probably have 8 different guys who could lead us in scoring. So that in my opinion, that has to be one of our strengths,
Yep.
but has to be the scouting report as you're going over it, as we go through the season, I hope is maddening to our opponents.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's another hot take. You're going to have 8 guys lead you in scoring in different games this year. Could be 9. We're going to see, but I'm going to roll with this
Yeah.
Mason Funk hot take. And then your final junior, really athletic kid, big upside here, Dylan Schmidt, who's a 6'4" guard.
Yeah, and Dylan is another guy that has shown really steady growth. He's really athletic, can run and jump,
Yeah, he sure
can
is.
shoot the basketball. I think it was college was an adjustment, and he's college basketball, I should say, but he has the character traits. He has everything you want in a Titan: hard worker, teammate, skilled, and Dylan gets better every practice. We've seen a big jump from freshman year to this year, and he's also the guy. And I say this, I pointed out for Dylan, but it's really true. I've got a great job, Q. You don't worry. Is Dylan Schmidt going to be on time? Is Dylan Schmidt going to do the right thing? Is Dylan Schmidt going to work hard? Is he going to be coachable? Is he going to be check, 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 check? And that's true with the guys on our team. And it's important to us that those are the type of young men we recruit, that we have in the program, and gives our guys a chance to keep growing and developing, and gives our program a chance to be really good. And Dylan Schmidt is one of those guys that I really respect and appreciate because of how he goes about his business.
Saw him play a couple of JV games last year. Really explosive to the basket, goes hard to the basket. Yeah, just can leap. So excited for his development. And now we're down to the freshman class. I'll start with, there's a kid that I think in terms of, D3 recruits, I think one of the huge names nationally, based on who you beat out for the kid and some kind of the rankings of the kid. But Josh Fridman, who's a 5'10" point guard, really was a kind of one of these blue chip D3 recruits. Talk a little bit about Josh Fridman.
Yeah, so we knew about Josh as a junior, and we were actually recruiting one of his teammates. Went to watch a practice, went to some games. Was like, man, I love how that kid plays. He tore his ACL as a junior,
right?
And so I think was really under the radar in terms of he was coming back on minute limitation, all those things. Coach Etheridge and I, and as we talk about our roster, Coach Etheridge deserves a lot of credit in the recruiting process, as our whole staff does, in terms of identifying quality players and young men. So I shout out to Coach Etheridge, but he and I go watch Josh work out in the preseason at some unbelievable hour, 5:30, 6 o'clock in some warehouse. And I'm watching this kid go through a workout, and I fall in love with him. I mean, he's getting after it. He loves to play, and he's got an engaging personality. Josh is a hooper. I love hoopers. I love guys who just love to play and have the ability to go out there and play, and he's one of them. And I think there's just a connection with him and a connection with Illinois Wesleyan right away for Josh and for us towards him. And so we're excited he's in the program. He can do a little bit of everything. He's got game. He can handle it. He's quick. He can get by you. He can shoot the three. He's another guy that can make passes that other guys don't see. We got 3 dogs at the point guard position, like 3 hound dogs, Q, that are going to get out and get after people. And Josh has that. He's ahead of the curve. The other thing is he's so smart. Like, he's picked up stuff. He's one of those that you can tell him one time, and you only have to tell him one time, and he's got it. So we're really excited Josh is with us.
Anytime we get a recruit and I start getting messages from people that have nothing to do with Illinois Wesleyan, like other D3 head coaches or assistants saying like, Q, you're going to love this guy. And I must've got 30 of these about Josh Fridman. So I thought he looked really good in the exhibitions. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. He's a unique D3 kid at the point position. Let's go to Alec Schmidts, who's a 6'5" forward.
Yeah, another Barrington guy. I told Nathan Boldt we have a quota of one per team, but we made an exception for Alec. Great kid, tons of personality. Uh, you know, I haven't seen Alec have a bad day since he stepped on campus. Very personable, always has a smile, and he can flat shoot the basketball. Um, you saw that, and with no conscience either. You saw that when he got in the Butler game,
No
man. He's
conscience,
got that
two corner threes. Boom.
and can shoot it. I'm telling you, he can really shoot the basketball, and we've seen it's really been fun. Like his body is changing. He's really embracing the weight room, and you showed that picture of the seniors when they were freshmen
Yeah.
at Yeshiva. They look a lot different today, don't
Oh
they?
my gosh. Yeah.
They look different. And so one of the big challenges for any freshman is the speed of the game, the physicality of the game, and embracing getting yourself physically able to compete at a high level. And we've seen that. I noticed that about 4 to 6 weeks in. I went up to Alec and I said, "Man, your body, you can see you're working at it," and he is, and so he has that unique skill of putting the ball in the basket, and is also really, I love this freshman class. They're smart. They come every day to work. Sometimes you're spending a little more time playing defense than offense. They don't blink at it. Really unselfish, and to be honest, this freshman class has a lot of offensive ability.
Sure.
And the thing that I hope they realize as you're playing a little bit more defense and offense, defense is what is going to give you that next opportunity. That's the area. And so Alec keeps improving in that area, but very excited he's here and brings a great personality to the program.
Yeah, Coach Jeff Bartell next to me at Butler. This kid comes in and fires two quick threes. Bart said that kid's not afraid to shoot. So Coach Bart was on it right away. And
And he can't.
yeah, he and
Hey,
his
I
shot
didn't.
looks
You didn't
pretty.
see me saying not to.
No,
If you notice, I wasn't saying Alec, don't shoot that
his
one. We
shot
let
looks
him shoot,
his shot looks
no
real
doubt.
pretty. How about Alex Maas, who's a 6'3" guard?
Yeah, Alex, the local guy from Hayworth. Um, and Alex is a terrific young man, working really hard. Lefty had a great season for Hayworth last year, and watched him play over at Redbird Arena. And very excited. I think he's another one. And I think this is true oftentimes when you get small school kids, that it's a jump in a level of play. But his attitude is terrific. He comes in and has gotten better and better every day.
Owan Nelson, a 6'6" forward.
Yeah, another normal U High guy. Coach McDowell sending some of the U High's best this way. And Owen and Alex, for this matter, they're both 6'4", 6'5", long, athletic guys that I think Alex Moss is planning to run track as well. If Owen hasn't considered it, maybe he should, because he's a gazelle. He can run and jump, and he was slowed. He was missed the first few weeks with an illness, but is now back. So he's just kind of getting into the routine at this stage.
Anthony Kemp from, I think, 6'5" guard. I believe, is that Bradley Bourbonnais? Is that where he's from?
Bradley Bourbonnais.
Okay.
Yeah, his dad is the head coach there. Coach Kemp, who does a terrific job. And Anthony had a rough senior year in the sense that he had back issues starting from the summer before his senior year all the way through his senior year. He currently is just rehabbing, so he is not practicing. He's rehabbing, getting himself healthy. But I'll tell you, he is crazy smart. Like, you can tell he's a coach's kid. He's been in the gym. He understands things. He's at every practice, has a super engaging personality. As a junior, was the player of the year in their conference. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a
Yeah.
really talented guy. Had he been healthy his senior year, every single small college would have been after him. And so we're really excited that he's here. Anthony has all the tools to be a really good player, and we're just focusing right now getting him healthy.
One of the youngsters that to me just in very short amount of time looked good to me was Alex Miller, this 6'5" kid against DePaul at the end. He kind of hit the Soroka move shot. You know, he kind of had that. He had a little Ryan Soroka about him. Talk about Alex Miller.
Yeah, Alex is, I mean, if you look at Alex today versus Alex 12 months ago, he's physically different. I mean, he showed up to campus and I was blown away.
Yeah, he's a
And
big kid.
he was I mean, Alex is 6'5", but physically different. And that's, he's one of those guys like last spring, hey Alex, if you're gonna have a chance to compete, you got to get
Yeah,
strong. And that's all you had to say. And he shows up bigger. He's always had the ability to shoot the basketball. I mean, it's his plus skill. I think he shot 60 some percent as a junior.
wow.
And then last year it kind of became one of their primary guys was Mark Manchill, shot over 40%. So he can really shoot it, a wing with size, but he's the guy that will run through a brick wall for you. I mean, you tell him one time, here's what we need, and he won't just do it. He will do it with passion. And I love it. I mean, he is intense. He is, and I think he's going to be that guy that as he understands the system more, where his shots are, what we need, he's going to become even better and better. And you're going to see every year him progress, and he's going to have a major impact on our program before it's all said and done.
And then one final player to ask about. It's always great to have a Southside kid on the roster. I believe Connor Williams is from Stagg High School, correct? Southside
No
kid,
doubt.
6'2" guard.
Yes.
Talk about this kid, Connor Williams.
Well, I saw you slipping him the Southside handshake that nobody knows. I know you love those
I
Southsiders,
do.
Q. I'll say this, and I really think this is true. He's shown more improvement than anybody else in our program up to this point.
Wow.
Like when he came in, we've thrown him. He's playing almost all point on the second team right now, and we've got three, as I said, dogs hounding him.
Right.
And Connor's kind of a quiet young man and took a back seat initially, and I'm seeing him kind of come into his own here in terms of understanding and competing at a different level. And it's been really fun to watch. He was a primary target for most of the CCIW in terms of he was one of the guys that we all looked at and said, okay, he's going to be a really good player in the CCIW. Right. He's got ball handling skills. He can really shoot it, has a terrific pull-up jump shot. Combo guard is what I'd call him. Probably came in more two than one.
Right.
We're having him play primarily one, and it is going to me, I think it's going to expand his game. And I've been super excited to watch Connor's development. But again, really skilled. Handle it, shoot it. Southside toughness, all the stuff you're looking for, Q.
I didn't get any Southside toughness is the ironic part of this. You always refer to these, John Koznitsky, he was your Southside. It skipped me, coach, but I'm more of a podcaster. That's all. I'm more of a Twitter podcaster guy. That's your roster. So that is that's awesome to hear you talk about each kid. I just want to finish with asking you about this coming weekend. I've talked to Jeff Gard of Platteville. I've talked to Bill Saul of Calvin. I've talked to Russell White. They've all been on the show. You're the last of the Sikma invite teams. I got to ask you, what are your thoughts? You got number 24 Kalu, number 16 Illinois Wesleyan, Platteville's 2. I think Calvin's 9. Cannot be a better 4-team D3 men's basketball tournament in the country. I don't think, but your thoughts heading into this weekend.
Well, do all the coaches think I'm nuts?
I think they've called you different things. Russell White said that you're a genius or you're lucky. I said it was somewhere in between. Coach Saul still cannot believe he said yes to sign up for this thing. So there's been many words used to describe you.
Well, lucky is lucky more than genius. I've never been called a genius, so I'll take that one. Certainly lucky in my life. I did catch some of Russell's. Uh, Thanks for giving bulletin board stuff. Like those guys need any more
I
motivation,
know.
Q.
I know. I should have rethought. I can't use my ballot for my own purposes, but I wish I would have because they do have bulletin board material.
Well, they're really good. I mean, they're really good. And had you voted for them, they'd probably be ranked like 15th, and we'd been
That's
16th.
correct.
So
They'd have a lot more poll points. Yes.
they but it is the Jack Sikma invite in a short time has become an elite Division III tournament, which is exactly was the vision and our goal, and we thank Greg and Co Gardner for getting it started, and we thank Dr. Bob Spear for his willingness to take on the sponsorship of it because it's what a wonderful thing to bring to Illinois Wesleyan, the
It's
community, when you
amazing.
bring four of the best small college programs from around the country in one place. I mean, it really is a second weekend or maybe even Final Four caliber
Absolutely.
teams in the first weekend of the season. And I really respect the three coaches, all three coaches that are coming this weekend uh, are elite coaches,
Yeah,
smart,
they sure
hard
are.
workers, run big time programs. They all have, I mean, the All American caliber talent that will be playing at the Shirk Center, and we're all veteran teams. I mean, that's usually at our level when you have older teams. Those are the teams that get ranked, but also are the best, because of the maturity. And all four teams are veteran teams with a lot of returning guys. So it is going to be all four are physical. All four play really hard. It's going to be some great basketball, and it's hard to believe someone's going to come out of this 0-2.
Yeah.
That will be a team that will contend to win a conference championship.
Yeah, it's an amazing way to start the season. Reminder to fans that the Titans play the early game. So the Titans play the 5 p.m. Friday. Is that correct? 5.
5 p.m. Friday. Yep.
So don't think you're showing up for a 7 p.m. game. Now don't leave for that game either because that's Calvin versus Wisconsin Platteville. Just plan to be at two games, but be at the first one. And then whatever way the matchups work out, you've got two more incredible games the next day. You mentioned that the sponsor Bob Spear. I wanted to let you know about this, Coach Rose, is I'm meeting him at DFW. He's flying from, the mean streets of Coronado Island. It's a rough place to live. He's flying from San Diego to DFW. I meet him at the airport. We have the same flight to Bloomington. And last year, when we boarded, they say now we're boarding the first class group, and he's standing next to me. He's like, "Oh, I got to go." So he gets on. He's first class. I'm back in row 17F. And the whole time I just sat there stewing that like he big time me. He big time me. So you know what I did when I booked this flight? You know what I booked? I booked first class. I just paid the extra money because I did not want to get big timed. And this is a Bloomington plane, Coach Rose. It's not like you can lay down in first class. It's like a business class, but I'm in like row 1, and
Oh,
he's not gonna he's not. It may be row 2, but I just didn't want to get big time. So I just thought you should know about that before the weekend, basically.
hey, anytime you're on Bob Spear, you got to up your game.
Yes.
Bottom line, you got to up your game or
Yeah.
you're going to be left behind.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes.
we love Dr. Spear, and he's been so much fun to talk to have part of our program. He's going to come in and why are you going to be at practice then? I think
Well,
he's going to stop by practice,
I'm sure going to try to. Absolutely.
and he's going to. I'm hoping he gives our guys a master's class on denying the inbounds and
Yes.
offensive rebounding because those could be two big keys to this weekend's tournament.
Yeah, it's just it's unbelievable the role he's played for the program. It's been great to get to know him, and it'll be great to have the tournament's namesake in the building. So Jack Sikma will be there, and my guys, the Snyders will be there, Matt and Zach, and I need to introduce you to those two. I know you've checked out a lot of their podcast stuff. So what a cool thing from a fan standpoint. The four fan bases coming together. Ron Rose, this has been really great. Hard to believe that this is the 19th time we've done some kind of preview. It wasn't always on the QCast, but the last several have been. I'll give you any final thoughts for the QCast listeners tuning in here to the season preview.
Well, in the old days, we used to interview it and you'd type it up, make me sound smarter
I
than I am.
actually would, and I
Unfortunately,
can't do that
I am what
anymore.
I am. You can't clean this up much.
That
So,
is true.
but Q, in all honesty, we appreciate you so much. Our current players, our past players, the kind of the recognition that D3 players, our guys work really hard. All levels of Division III work really hard, and for you to give the exposure and the Snyders, not my wildest dreams when I took this job did I realize the world we live in, and just the access to information and teams is
Yeah.
awesome. The QCast, that's a terrific thing to get to know people from around the country that you'd never know otherwise. Now I do blame you for scheduling.
I realize I've sent some bad teams. Marietta's my fault, Yeshiva's my fault, all that stuff, right? Like,
You have yet to send me a below 500 team. Every
that's
team you
correct.
send me is a top 20 team, so we need to have that conversation. But thank you for all you do for our program, for D3 at large. And it should be a awesome season like usual in Division III, and really excited to kick it off this weekend.
I appreciate it, Ron. I look forward to getting on that plane tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. Folks, that's Ron Rose. He's the head men's basketball coach at Illinois Wesleyan. That was QCast Season 5, Episode 14, and we are just a couple days away from the season. Ron, thank you. We'll see you Thursday.
That was great. Thanks, Q.